Hello you guys, welcome back to my channel. In today's video, we're gonna talk about IEP meetings and what you need to know being a general education teacher going into an IEP meeting. I think it's really important that you guys know this before going into teaching because I had no idea. We went over like IEPs in credentialing school, but it never was explained to me what happens in an IEP meeting until I had my first IEP meeting, and I kind of felt stupid because I didn't know what was happening. Like, I didn't know what to say. I didn't know what was going on, and I was really nervous and scared. The mom was there, the parents were there. I'm the gen ed teacher. I'm in a first year teaching position, taught for a total of a month. I have no idea what I'm doing. You guys, I wanted this to be a very quick video for you. If you are a teacher, then you know all about IEP meetings, or actually maybe you don't because you're new, or you want to join the teacher profession. I wanted this to be quick and to the point so you know what to expect. So real quick, if you're general education, you will have to attend IEP meetings, and I'm just going to explain what those are and what to say and what to expect and what to prep for them. IEP stands for Individualized Education Plan, which is a legal document. I have it written down just in case, like I'm gonna give you the exact definition. It's a legal document to support students who need special education. And this plan is created through a team of the child's parents, the teacher, district personnel, and anyone who is knowledgeable about the student, which would be you, the gen ed teacher, because usually, especially where I'm at, I'm in Southern California, and this has been with the two districts I've been in, you will have students in your class that are on IEPs. So they have special learning accommodations and special learning modifications that you have to give them according to their IEP, which is the legal document. Sometimes they're pulled out during the day, and sometimes the resource teacher is pushed in. So pulled out means the resource student or the special needs student, the student with the IEP, is going to be pulled out of the class and working with the resource teacher there, or the resource teacher is going to be pushed in and working with the IEP, working with the special needs students in class with you while you teach. I've had both done. It just depends on your school, I guess, and how it's run. So these happen once a year with each student that has an IEP. And in the meeting, it's about an hour long, and it usually consists of you, the general ed teacher, admin, administrator of some kind, resource teacher or special needs teacher, sometimes the psychologist, the school psychologist, sometimes the school counselor. It just depends on that specific IEP, and the parent. They would all be in the meeting together. So now I'm gonna tell you exactly what you should do in your IEP meeting, because you're gonna have them. And no, they don't really tell you what to do in credentialing school. I had no idea what to do. So this is all like asking questions and learning on my own. So usually when you go into the meeting, there is a facilitator, and the facilitator is usually the special needs teacher or the resource teacher, and they usually facilitate. There's a whole script they go off of. They read the parent their ed rights. There's a whole script. Basically what you're doing during this time is you're just sitting and you're waiting for your turn, and they're gonna go through every person at the table, and when it gets to you and you're the general ed teacher, so what you say when it comes up to you, you can say anything in the variation of this. I usually say, my name is Miss Thompson, I'm the general ed teacher, and I am here to give input about grade level standards and accommodations and modifications. Pause. What are modifications and accommodations? Well, modifications mean that you are modifying the lesson, modifying the test for the student for their IEP. That might mean you are changing the test. Modification means you're changing something. So you might change the wording in the test. You might change the wording in the assignment itself. Accommodations, you're not changing the lesson or test, you're accommodating for the student. So that might mean giving more time on a test, having the student test out of your room, maybe going to the resource room, maybe having a word bank for the students or a multiplication chart. Those are accommodations. So your job is to explain how you are using modifications and accommodations in your classroom to support the student. And then the meeting happens, and they usually start off by saying, can you say, let's go over the positives about the student. So you say the positives, and then they say, okay, so let's go over the negatives, or what the student's having troubles in, and we go over the troubles with the student. Now, everyone has input in this meeting, and it gets written down, and it gets all added into the new education plan to see if they reached the goal. Now, here's advice for you, especially newer teachers who don't really know or are kind of uncomfortable during IEP meetings. The reason for IEP meetings is to give the student with special needs the best education that they deserve, right? The point is, this student who has a learning disability, they deserve a quality education, and that's why you have this meeting, to make sure the student is getting a quality education. So it's really all about the student. That's it. It's about them. Are they getting what they need? Are they getting what they deserve? Now, of course, with everything, especially when you're doing conferences with students and parents, always start with a positive. And if the IEP is being facilitated, they're always going to start with a positive, and for a good reason, because you want to start with a positive, because there's always positives about the student, about the situation. They're always doing something good. There's always something you can choose and talk about that is positive. Now, when they do bring up what needs to be improved or what you're having troubles with the student, you need to be honest. This even goes with like conferences with, non-IEP meetings. You need to be honest about the challenges you're facing with the student and what is challenging the student in general. You need to be honest. Do not be afraid to be honest around the parent, because that's not benefiting the student. That's just your ego getting in the way and you just being like nervous and scared, but that doesn't benefit the student. And the whole reason we're in this meeting is to give the student the best education they deserve. So I have actually surpassed this fear, and now I am just very honest. I am very honest because something needs to change to give the student the education they deserve. Rule I like to live by, especially like talking about the negatives or talking about things to improve on. As long as your heart is in the right place, you're fine. Don't feel guilty or upset or sad, or you feel like worried about being honest. As long as your heart is in the right place, you're doing the right thing. If you're genuinely concerned about something, be honest. It's not a bad thing. Be honest. It's gonna help the student in the long run. If you are truly just being a genuinely caring, compassionate person, you're doing it for the right reasons, there's nothing to worry about, ever, because it's coming from a caring place. Now, at the end of the meeting, and during the meeting, they're gonna ask you about what you have been doing in the classroom to help accommodate and modify for the student. Now, in the beginning of the year, you should have received the student's IEP, and you should have read through it. Usually it's really easy to read through, and usually the resource teacher comes to you and like tells you, but it's all written in the IEP, and it's your job as the general education teacher to make sure you are fulfilling the IEP, because it's a legal document. So you need to make sure that they are sitting in front of the class if that's they're in their IEP, or they are getting a word bank and they do get the multiplication chart or speech to text or whatever it says in there. You have to make sure that you're doing it. They're gonna ask you in the meeting, have you been doing it? And you say yes, or I've been doing this, and you talk about it. Now be prepared to leave the meeting with maybe a couple more ideas to accommodate the student or to modify for the student, because again, the whole point is to make sure the student is getting the best education they deserve, despite their learning disability. So that's what you're gonna leave with. I always bring a notebook and a pen just to write down what we're doing moving forward, like pretending like this isn't working, so let's do this. They're being really unorganized and papers are everywhere and they're losing their papers. Okay, so how can we accommodate this issue? How can we help? How can we modify this issue? Well, we can do individual colored folders for the student, labeled for the student. Something along the lines of that. I like to write it down and then I implement it in the classroom. There you go. I hope it helps. If it does, please like, share, anything like that. Let me know what you guys think. If you have any questions, leave them in the comments down below. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll catch you guys in my next video.